Everyone thinks that Pizza Hut lost its dominance because the pizza got greasy or because the ingredients got cheap. And while that has some truth to it, it's actually a comforting lie. The data proves something much scarier. Pizza Hut didn't die because of its product, although that was a factor. It died because of its roof. If you're building a business and you don't understand the difference between an asset and a liability, then you're following the exact same blueprint that destroyed $6 billion in real value from this American icon. Today, we're not just giving you the history lesson, we're auditing the books to find the exact moment when the red roof turned into a financial coffin. I remember the glory days in high school. Sunday afternoons after church, we likely were at the all you can eat buffet at Pizza Hut with a bunch of our church friends. That oily, bubbly pan pizza wasn't just food, it was a social destination. You didn't just order Pizza Hut, you went to Pizza Hut. But the last time I walked into a Red Roof is when I started working there and left about 22 minutes into the first shift. You know what? If I ask you, when was the last time you sat down at a Pizza Hut? I'll bet you'd struggle to remember exactly when it was. Today, we're stripping away the nostalgia to look at the profit logic of this collapse. We are going to look at three fatal decisions where management chose financial efficiency over soul, and how that choice turned the world's largest pizza chain into a distressed asset. All right, here's the first chart I want to look at. If you look at Pizza Hut's raw revenue numbers from 2012 to today, it looks kind of boring. They hovered around 13 million for over a decade. Wall Street, of course, calls this stagnation. I'm going to suggest it's actually a collapse. So look at that red line. This is their revenue adjusted for inflation to $2026. In real purchasing power, the business has collapsed from 19.2 billion in 2012 to 13.4 billion today. That's a 30% destruction of value. If Pizza Hut had simply kept up with inflation, they just stayed average, mediocre, if you will, they should be doing $19 billion today. The gap between these two lines, that's the cost of losing the war. And why did they lose? Well, the rot started before the internet even took over. It started in 1997. That's when Pizza Hut spun off from PepsiCo, and it was created what we now know as Yum Brands. And they didn't just give them independence, they gave them a parting gift of $4.5 billion in debt. And that's really the original sin here. While Domino's, a scrappy underdog, spent money on inventing heated delivery bags and early POS or point of sales tech, Pizza Hut's parent company was obsessed with paying down this debt. What's the lesson? Well, debt can suffocate innovation. It can also fund it at certain times, but certainly not in this context. And when you are drowning in debt service, you stop looking at the customer and you are studying that spreadsheet. And to me, that's where the product went out of focus and they continue to focus more heavily on the finances. Both are important, but arguably, product has to lead the finances if you want to be successful and grow. So look at this. Even in 2026, Yum China plans to spend nearly 460 million buying back its own stock in just 6 months. They're propping up the stock price for shareholders instead of fixing the aging restaurants for the customers. This is financial engineering 101. And it works until that red roof caves in. This brings us to the tragedy of the red roof. In the 70s, architect Richard Burke designed the red roof to be a billboard that you could eat inside. It was actually kind of genius, and it created a monopoly on that family dining experience. But by 2010, the red roof was no longer an asset. It was a pure liability. Let's take a look at the unit economics. On the left, you've got classic Pizza Hut franchise. They're heating and cooling a massive 2,500 square foot building. They are paying insurance on a parking lot. They're paying dishwashers for buffet plates. On the right, you've got Domino's. It's just 1,200 square feet. No tables, no waiters, no dishes, just a pizza factory. And when the customer shifted to delivery, the franchisee on the left, man, they were doomed. They couldn't compete on price because their overhead was just so high. So what did they do? They stopped renovating. The carpets, they got dirty. The lights, they burned out. And the destination, it became a dump. We, the market, we've punished them for this. The consumer didn't want that experience. In 2017, the lines crossed and Domino's overtook Pizza Hut in global sales. Domino's had learned the lesson from Silicon Valley. They weren't just a pizza company, they were a tech company that sold pizza. They owned the data, they owned the app. Pizza Hut, they panicked. In their recent investor filings, the language changed. They stopped calling delivery apps competitors and they started calling them partners. And this was effectively the white flag of surrender. By listing on DoorDash, Pizza Hut admitted that they'd lost the logistics. They handed their customer data, their most valuable asset, over to a third party. They became just another tile on the app screen. Here's an important aha moment when I was studying this. Management spent 30 years trying to efficientize, to make more efficient, to get to their profit. They cut the buffet to save on labor. They sold the buildings to save on capex. They outsourced delivery to save on tech. They stripped away everything that made Pizza Hut special, thinking they were optimizing the business. But in reality, they were stripping away the soul of the brand. You can spreadsheet your way to efficiency. Quants do it all the time. But you cannot spreadsheet to soul. And once the soul is gone, once the product is mediocre, the customer leaves too. There's no spreadsheet that's going to fix that. If you want to understand how boring businesses win and lose, and you want to look at the numbers, not the nostalgia, and you enjoyed this audit, I want you to hit that like button. And if you want to see how more giants collapsed due to bad management, subscribe to this channel. I'm the Analytical Architect, and I'll see you in the next breakdown.